Today, I'm going to be reviewing for you the book that took most of my reading time this month, and that is Joe Abercrombie's The Blade Itself, the first book in the First Law trilogy. My friend Mike was the first person to recommend this to me. And then when Abby was hosting a book club on Fable, I thought, oh, I'll check this out and try out Fable, which I did enjoy, and I think I will do more in the future for sure. The POV of this book is split across a few different characters, so trying to go in depth at all with a synopsis would be a little difficult. But in essence, this follows Logan, who has been violently separated from his friends and falls into the company of Beaz, a very interesting character who he says looks more like a butcher than a wizard. Then we have Inquisitor Glocta, who is a broken man, literally, and certainly to himself, he feels like a broken man after being hideously tortured by an enemy during the war. And then there's Jazal, who is this awful, arrogant young man who has been drafted basically into taking part in this contest. A few other point of view characters do get introduced as the story goes along, but I'm not going to go into them too much just because, spoilers and all that kind of stuff. And through them, we're introduced to this plot that is, honestly, if you kind of just break it down, like this is the plot of the story, there's a lot of familiar things in here that fantasy readers especially will find very familiar. I would compare this book to watching a chess set being slowly put out onto a board without any actual chess playing going on, which makes it sound like that's a negative. It's not. I love this book. I thought it was fantastic. And all of that really does come down to the character work. The character work here is fantastic. All of the main characters and even some of the minor ones have really great introductions. They're very sharply written. They have a distinct point of views, some of which are often unsavory. I mean, some of the people that you have to follow, it's like, ugh, like Jazal, whenever we got to one of his chapters, it was like a little bit of a struggle just dealing with him. Glocta is such a piece of work that I posted a video on here because I think it was like the second or third chapter, wondering if this book was for me because his point of view was just kind of so, I don't know, unappealing. And it's funny because by the end of this book, Glocta is by far one of my favorite characters in this book, which is full of a lot of great characters. And great character work, here's the thing, you don't only have to have that much of a plot because there is a lot of plot. It's just that it is going on in the background in a way. I mean, it's being, slowly pushed forward through the actions of different people, but you really don't have any sense of what's the big picture here yet. This is really a lot of moving pieces around introducing people, introducing concepts, introducing characters, but it's all done with such fantastic character work that it is an absolute pleasure. And it makes me very excited to read the next book. As for presentation, I think this does a very good job of kind of giving you a sense of what this book is about. This particular edition, it's not like full of bells and whistles, but there's this sort of nice, sort of textured marble feel. It's well bound, it held up well. So nothing wrong with the presentation here at all. Prose, writing wise, I really enjoy Abercrombie's writing for the most part. I think he does a good job of being descriptive without being overly descriptive at times. There are times when the same word gets used quite a bit. I think there are some words that he maybe relies on a little too much. The word meager came up multiple times, like in three sentences, basically. And there's some other examples of that, but it's a very minor complaint when it comes down to it. Everything else is so great in here. One thing that the book has been pretty widely criticized, and I think it's very fair, is the writing of the female characters, especially in relation to the male characters. Because, honestly, the way that the female characters are written in this isn't necessarily terrible. And in fact, some of them, if you were to put them in other books, they would be probably considered well written, but it's just in comparison to the absolute beautiful, complex, layered, interesting character work that's going on elsewhere, the female characters do fall a little flat. And I've heard that that gets better in the future books, which I'm very excited about. So, overall thoughts about the Blade itself. I really feel like this one lived up to the hype. This one really, you were all right. This is a fantastic fantasy book. I don't know if I'm going to join the Fable Book Club in reading the next book next month because I need a little bit of a break. Even books I love, especially in some ways the books I love, I need a little bit of a break from so I can go, just sort of look at other things and then come back to it. But I definitely plan to read the next book very, very soon. And I'm excited to continue with the trilogy.